Hey, so today we're going to talk about and show you how to set up the rugged portable LCM 2700 demo unit. So when you get the unit, it's going to be in this nice little case. Open the case up. You'll see the interrogator on the top here. This one has some thermocouples attached to it for some testing we're doing. Yours it normally won't have that. So pull this tray out. Pull the interrogator out, and then down inside you have your patch cable and your charging cable. You most likely won't need the charging cable for your demos because your battery hopefully will already be charged, but you'll need your patch cable. Put your stuff back in your case, set that off to the side. Okay, so this is your front panel. This is where you're going to do most of everything other than on the back panels where you plug it in to charge it. This will typically have a cap on it. You'll pull that cap open. You've got your patch cable. It has a little protective cover on it. You're going to pull that off. I like to store it right there so that you don't lose it. On this connector, there's a keyway. You need to make sure that it's oriented correctly when you put it in here. On this particular unit, the keyway is at the bottom. So I'm going to turn that over and I'm going to slide it in, and then this is just a turn until it locks in place. On the opposite side is your sensors. You're going to find channel 1 or whatever channel you're going to use. It's labeled right here. You're going to pull this green cap off, set that off to the side, and then you need to clean your connector. And you'll just check with Matt on that process, and he can show you how to do that properly. But you connect your connector through a bulkhead. There's keyways in that. Matt can show you also how to orient the keyway to make sure you're in correctly. And that basically has you ready to go. You come up here, you've got your power button, local storage, USB storage, so you can record locally so you're not connected to anything. We use these small, short USBs. Everybody knows how to put a USB in. You just plug it in there, and then this cap will actually fit over the top of this so that it can be sealed and protected while it's out in the field. If you're going to connect to a laptop, maybe with a LAN cable, you would plug your crossover cable in right there. We transmit via Wi-Fi, so we'll show you how that hooks up here in a moment. But you can see as we turn this on, we've got Ethernet. It's a red flashing light. We don't have Ethernet plugged in. There's no USB in there, so that's flashing yellow. And this is flashing green because we've got a good charge on our battery. So now we're connected up to our sensor, and we're ready to go ahead and hook up with Wi-Fi to the system.
Hello, I'm going to be explaining how to set up and configure the LCM 2700. The first thing to do is to establish connection to the unit. To do this, you click on the network settings. Whenever the LCM 2700 is on, there's a wireless network that is LCM 2700. Click on that. Click connect automatically and say connect. It will ask for a network security key. This is exclamation point, capital L, capital C, capital M, 2700, exclamation point. Then you click next and yes. Once it establishes connection, we should be able to navigate to the default IP address. And connect to the unit. Okay, it's established connection. The default IP address is 192.168.24.196:8050. type that in, press enter. Once the LCM 2700 is connected to your computer, you'll be able to adjust the settings. You can adjust date and time settings clicking on this button, but we'll jump right into setting up the measurements. If you want to adjust the Y settings, you click on these radio buttons here. There are two logging settings with the LCM 2700. One is where it continuously logs data. If you want that mode, you click the disabled on the sleep-wake mode. The other mode is where it will collect data, a certain number of samples, and then it will go to sleep for a certain period of time. The sample settings are in this area. The sleep settings, or how long it will stay asleep, are configured here. So what we'll need to do is to connect a fiber optic sensor to the unit through the patch cable. I have a sensor connected to channel 4. So we are going to click on Update Instrument Settings here. Over here on the left-hand side of the screen, we'll be able to see that there is channel 4 enabled, along with the settings that we've set over here. It's a good way of verifying what the machine thinks it has as settings. So we'll need to calibrate channel 4 now. We'll click this calibrate button. This header appears that says the LCM 27 is calibrating, and also on the front panel of the screen, the calibrate button will be flashing. Once it's done calibrating, that calibrate run button will have a solid green appearance. In addition, this header will disappear once the calibration is finished. Okay, the calibration just finished. Now we want to check our sensors. So it checks out. I have one sensor attached to channel 4 and no sensors anywhere else. So this is a good calibration. We can also further look at the calibration. We can view the photodiodes. Go to channel 4 and click Start. It will show a histogram of the light being reflected back through the fiber Bragg grating. So you can see the histogram here. So that looks good. So we'll go ahead and stop that. And we go back home, and then we can view live data. I have a switch connected right now. So we are going to select channel 4 and click on sensor 1 and click Start. And the unit will start collecting data. So I'm going to actuate the sensor, and then you can see that it responds. This looks good. And then release it, and it looks good. So we're going to stop the data collection and go back home. So now we want to start collecting data. And so we are going to create a new file. demo 100 and click create new log file button. Sometimes you have to double click that button to get it to work. In this page there's multiple buttons. With the take measurement, we can take a single measurement with that mode. We can start logging. After we log, we can download the data as a CSV, or we can plot the data. So right now we're just going to start logging. Currently we have wake sleep mode enabled, so after it collects those 200 samples from the settings on the previous page, it will prompt that it is going to shut down. So I actuated it just to show the data. And then we'll go to the point where it starts to prompting that it's going to shut down. Okay, so now it's prompting us that it will shut down in about 60 seconds. And then it also shows what time it will start up again. We are going to go ahead and stop logging right now, and I'll show you some more features. I'm going to show you how to operate the LCM 2700 without any computer attached to the system. What you'll need is the LCM 2700 with the sensors already attached. Ideally, it's been calibrated already. So previously I had a blank USB drive. I inserted the USB drive into the LCM 27 and turned it on. I waited, after the lights turned on, I waited for about a minute and then turned it off. And what that does is it populates the USB drive with the configuration file. And it creates these files and folders. Here, the LCM 2700 is the current configuration file for the unit. This is the default. If you need to go back to the defaults, you would just rename this file LCM 2700 without the default. So to edit this file, you do a right click and say open with, and say notepad. Here it has the settings, and the main settings that you can adjust in this file is the number of measurements, the sleep duration, the enabled channels, the acquiring data state, which 0 means it's not acquiring data, 1 is automatically acquiring data. Typically I would recommend just leaving that as 0. You can change the sleep awake mode. Currently it's disabled, so it'll collect data continuously. If you had enabled here, it will go to sleep after the number of measurements taken. And then this I would recommend leaving as none. unless you have a specific file name that you want, then you can put that with a .csv at the end. So once these are changed, oh, also you can change the IP address. This is where you would do it. And you would have to insert the USB while it's off, turn it on, wait for the lights to start turning on correctly, wait about a minute, then turn it off, and then you can turn it back on, and then these settings would be updated in the LCM 2700. So I'm closing that out, and I'm going to eject this. And then I can go over to the LCM 2700 and plug it in. And once I plug it in and turn it on, then I can press on the front panel the CAL run button. If you click that once, it will go directly into collecting data. If you press and hold for at least 3 seconds, you can force it to calibrate before it runs. So I'll go ahead and show you that. From that screen, you'll be able to see that it automatically created a file based on the date and time, and it's collecting data. It's currently in sleep-wake mode, so it will turn off after it collects the 200 samples. And then it will turn back on at the specified interval. Okay, so now it's entering a shutdown. So if you wanted to cancel this, you would press the CAL run button again, and it would cancel it. And then you might have to refresh the page on that one. There we go. So that's how you would run it. And if it went into sleep mode, it would wake up and then automatically start running again, collecting data again.